All right, guys. So it is 7 p.m. Welcome to Federal Prison Time with RDAP Dan. And today we're going to talk a little bit about prison designation and the point system and how do you know exactly where you're going, because there's a lot of confusion about that, including myself. I'm completely confused as much as you guys are. I did do some research today, guys, and I was actually able to find some information that I haven't been able to find before. And I actually found it on the Bureau of Prisons website, believe it or not. What's going on, Matt? Who else we got in here? Oh, Dell. Hey, Dell, what's going on? Dell's a new viewer, so we welcome Dell. Dell, before I kick off, did you get that link? I emailed it to you, and I also posted it back in the comment that you had posted on the YouTube video. So hopefully you got that. Todd Hansen in the house. It's kind of like having a ghost, the ghost of Todd. So anyway, guys, let's talk about designation, the prison system. A lot of people want to know if they're going to a camp, a low, a medium. And not only is it nice to know, but a lot of you are, hey, Chris, what's going on, buddy? A lot of you are in a situation where you might be considering doing a 5K1, accepting responsibility, cooperating, things like that. And obviously going to a medium or higher is a little bit nerve-wracking if you're going to have a 5K1, because mediums and pens can tend to really frown upon you having a 5K1. And when I say they, I'm referring to the other inmates. So I did post a link in the description of this video where you can download the information that I found from the BOP. And actually, you know what? Let me, I thought I had the link right here. The link is in the description of the video, guys. So if you click on the link in the description of the video, it will download. I actually saved it to my Google Drive so you guys could download it straight from my Google Drive. If any of you have a problem downloading it, let me know, and I can repost it or send it to you directly. But so let's talk about the points a little bit. Everybody wants to know what points are going to send you where. So let's kind of jump right into that. So minimum security, minimum being a camp custody, right? In order to be camp custody, which is that's community and out custody. What that means is you can be in the community, you can be out of the prison, you can be, if they wanted to sentence you to straight like probation or something like that. So minimum security, your points need to be between 0 and 11. Now this is for men, 0 and 11 for men. Women, it's a little bit different. For women, it's 0 to 15. So women, if their points are higher, they can be at a lower security prison. So you guys got that? If you're going to a camp, your points have to be between 0 and 11. Those of you that are self-surrendering, that automatically knocks off 3 points on your point system if you're self-surrendering. Self-surrendering does not constitute if you get taken into custody the day of your sentence. Self-surrendering is after your sentence being allowed to surrender. So like Todd wasn't remanded, so that should reduce his custody points. I'm not talking about geez, mine just went blank there, guys. On your PSR, I'm not talking about your base offense level or your criminal history. I'm talking about your points, your points, your prison points. It's a whole different point system. So 0 to 11 land you in a camp. Okay. 12 to 15 for men. What points? I know, Sean, we got to play catch up, but you have points that designate and decide where you're going to go. The type, how many crimes you've had in the past, your criminal history level, how old you are plays a factor. If you've got extensive drug abuse plays a factor. There's a lot of different factors that can play, medical issues can play a factor. So this is why it's so hard to tell you exactly like where your points are going to land. And you and I were talking about this, Chris. It's a very confusing calculating system. However, the link that is in the description of this video should help shed some light on how the point system works. So 12 to 15 points will land you in a low security. Okay, 12 to 15 points will land you in a low security for men. For women, 16 to 30 points will land you in a low. The way you know your points, Sean, is you have to, that's the hard part to figure out, is the BOP kind of calculates that. But in the link on the description that I have included, that link will give you an idea of how you can figure out how many points you may or may not have, if you're going to be in that 0 to 11 or 12 to 15 or 16 to 23. For most of you, I would imagine that are first-time offenders, non-violent offenders, I would imagine you're going to be somewhere in the 0 to 11 category. Don't hold that to me. You know, DUIs, things like that, that can, hurt you. That can cause additional points. But if for some reason right now, if you thought you were at, let's say, you were 15 or 16 points and you thought that was going to land you in a low, remember, self-surrendering reduces you by 3 additional points. What's going on, Javier? Thanks for joining, bud. So recap, 0 to 11 points lands you in a camp. 12 to 15 points can land you in a low. 16 to 23 points can land you in a medium. And 24 points plus lands you in a high or administrative, like extra high custody. So women, a little bit different. 0 to 15 points for a minimum. 16 to 30 points for a low. 31 plus, they don't have a medium for women. It goes from the low to the high. So 31 plus points for a woman will land you in a high custody. Now, other things can prevent you from going to a camp, guys. Super violent offenses can prevent you from going to a camp. If you are an escape risk, if you skipped out on bond, that can stop you from going to a camp because you can't have out custody if you're a flight risk. If sex offense crimes and charges, you can't be out custody because you're a public risk factor. If you have any type of sex offense charges, whether it be child pornography or internet porn or anything like that, can prevent you. A detainer, if you have any open charges, if you have a case that's not dispositioned properly, if it's not finished, if you have a warrant out somewhere, things like that can prevent you from going to a camp. And also things that prevent you, like warrants, can also prevent you from RDAP, because you cannot do halfway house until that stuff is cleared up. So someone just asked me if I'm broadcasting somewhere else. So let's see if they're finding me here. Sorry, guys. Trying to make sure everybody can get on the channel. And let's see here. Shit. Sorry, guys. 1 second. Okay. Good thing my wife is out of camp. Yep. John, you're not too late. We've only been on here a minute. Guys, and Hunter Moore gets out in 2 days. How can you get to a camp or a low again? How can you get to a camp or a low again? You mean, what do your points need to be, Johnny? In order to go to a camp, Johnny, your points need to be between 0 and 11. To go to a low, your points need to be between 12 and 15. There is a link in the description of this video that will take you to the PDF that goes over all of the guidelines and breaks it down the best it can. I got this link directly from the BOP. So I apologize if it is a little bit, if it's a little bit confusing, but man, I'm telling you, I've been doing research, and there's no, it's not like just a black or white, quick, easy thing to figure out. It's based on your age. It's based on your crime. It's based on your criminal history level. It's based on your substance abuse history. it's based on so many different factors that a lot of people aren't going to know. But you can count on, if this is your first time, you're a first time offender, white collar criminal, nonviolent drug offender, and it's not a enormous amount of drugs, you can pretty much count on probably going to go to a camp. So I know that's not exactly what you guys want to hear, but it's not something that's just a super black and white answer. And that's why a lot of your attorneys probably also are giving you the runaround. But that information that's in this link or in this video in the description should give you an idea. I apologize. I'm opening up an email over here so I can send one of our viewers the direct link, because he does not have, actually, you know what? I have it here in my text message. Look at me go. Forgot I sent it to all of you already. I can just forward that. So I know a lot of you are getting ready. I know some of you are getting ready to get sentenced very soon. Some of you are worried about getting possibly remanded at sentencing. The best thing I can say is, you guys, I had a call today from a guy that's trying to find out what he can do to get probation. You know, everybody wants probation. And I've asked him what he's doing. Is he working? Is he doing any community service? And he said no. And I asked him why. Why aren't you working? Why aren't you doing community service? Why aren't you doing any of these things? He said, well, I'm on home confinement. It's like, I mean, we all know if you're on home confinement, they're going to let you work. That's the one thing you can count on, is they're going to let you go to work. They're more than likely let you do community service. I know I spoke to, I think it was it Chris? I spoke to Chris today, and he's talking about it's hard to find places that will accept you for community service because, you know, they want to do background checks, and, you know, you've got to get approved first. And it's not like you just show up and start doing community service. So what that tells you guys is you're going to have to look around. You're going to have to do some homework. You're going to have to see what's available in your area. You might want to try calling your pretrial probation officers. A lot of them have lists of places that you can do community service, because a lot of probation has mandatory community service on the probation, which means helping you find something makes it a little easier for them, because the quicker you do your probation, that's one less thing you can knock off of your checklist. And for those of you that want to get early termination on probation, start your community service the minute you get out, if community service is a condition of your probation. So it's been an interesting week. You know, we've seen a lot. We've seen a lot go on. Just a lot's happened this last week. A lot of stuff with Todd. You know, we got a lot of other clients. We got clients that are getting ready to come home, clients that are getting ready to go in. I've been getting a lot of emails from clients lately that are just getting really nervous the closer it gets. Like, their anxiety is raising. They're not really dealing with their family all that well. It's not that they're not dealing with their family. They're not really enlightening their family as to what's going on. They haven't been completely forthcoming on letting them know, you know, where they're at in their situation, how much time they might actually be looking at. So guys, the best thing you can do is be really, really, really honest with your family and set realistic expectations. You know, of course, don't tell them I'm definitely going to prison for 5 years or 10 years if you don't know, but let them know that is a possibility. That is a potential length of time that you could get. And then with good time and halfway house and things like RDAP, you know, these are all things that can shave off some of that time. I had another call from a young lady. She's actually in the room joining with us tonight. You know, she had some RDAP questions, and, you know, unfortunately, you know, for those of you that have gun enhancement charges, violent crimes, or you have extra short sentences, you know, RDAP's just not really an option for you, because if you've got gun enhancement crimes or gun charges, you can't take RDAP because that's considered a violent crime. If you've got under a certain amount of time, like really once you get down to like under 30 months, RDAP becomes real kind of, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Because you don't know exactly when the next RDAP class is going to start. You don't know if, God forbid, if they send you to the wrong prison and you get to not the wrong prison, but they designate you to a prison that doesn't have RDAP. Everybody thinks just because they were recommended to a specific prison, like Alderson, for an example. And that's where Dell Hawkins, who is watching in the room right now, you cannot, let me answer Dell's question before I move on from that. Dell just asked, can I get additional time for good behavior? No. You get 15% good time. And that's what we were calculating earlier when we were talking on the phone, Dell, is off your 24 months. The good time will be basically you'll get 15% off for good time, which brings you to the 20 months. You cannot receive any additional time for good time. The only other things that give you actual time off of your federal prison sentence is RDAP. Halfway house isn't considered time off because you're still in the BOP custody. So between between federal prison, halfway house, and home confinement, between those three things, because all three of those are considered custody of the BOP, between those three things, you will serve about 20 months of your 24 months. Hopefully, we can work with you. And actually, you're in the same boat, Dell, as the gentleman here that's talking right now, Javier Crispo. His fiance is in prison, and Javier, what was your fiance's sentence? Was it 24 months as well? I think it was, wasn't it? And if that's the case, Dell, it's a very similar situation that you're in, and we're doing the same thing for his fiance that we would potentially be doing for you, trying to get you the additional halfway house. Hey, Kimberly, what's going on? So yeah, so if you're paying attention, Dell, Javier Crispo, his lady was sentenced to 24 months, so the same sentence as yours. So that's what we're doing for her is we're helping her right now. We're gathering letters from Javier as we speak to prepare to mitigate with the case manager coordinator, and his girl is at Coleman, the same prison that my fiance went to. What's going on, Kevin Chase? Got Kevin Chase in the room. Good to see you, buddy. Gordo's in the room. Kimberly McMahon's in the room. Mr. Dan. There's a couple of you that call me Mr. Dan. And it's gotten to be like, I laugh at myself every time I hear Mr. Dan. I feel like I'm like a elementary school teacher, and the kids are, Mr. Dan, can we play with the crayons? You guys can call me Dan or Daniel or RDAP. You can call me Mr. Dan too if you want, but to me, it makes me giggle a little bit. I feel like I'm a Tyrannosaurus Rex. I feel so close to this microphone where I'm kind of like, I feel like I'm dog pedaling every time I go to talk. And I'm so talkative with my hands. Shelly was just kind of making fun of me the other day. She's like, why are you so, try to talk without using your hands? And I tried to put my hands in my pocket, and I felt like my mouth wouldn't work. So sorry, I talk a lot with my hands. I'm animated. It's proper. Okay. Mr. Dan it is. Thank you, Miss Kimberly. Dan the man with the plan, call him that. Gotta love Javier. He's a trip. So guys, actually Javier's got he called me just right before we started the show. He had a question because he's trying to do visitation with this wonderful princess that's sitting in the Coleman jungle. He called me about visitation. She sent him the visitation forms, and he's filling them out. And the visitation forms can be a little bit finicky, but the big thing is when you guys are sending back the visitation forms, make sure when you're getting the visitation forms from your girl. Now, guys, I know for a fact, I don't remember where it is, and I will find a link. You can download visitation forms off of the BOP's website. It's just you got to search for them. However, when you're sending in the visitation forms back to the prison, you do not send them back to your inmate, to your loved one. You have to send it to the unit manager, and you have to get the address for the unit manager. It's going to be a P.O. box of some sort, but you got to get it from your loved one, or you can call the prison and say, hey, I'm sending in a visitation form. My inmate, my loved one's unit manager is so-and-so. What's their address? And they'll give you a an address. So other interesting information. So today, Chris, or not Chris, geez, just again, brain froze, guys. I apologize. It's been one of those crazy days. Sean emailed me because he had asked his attorney again. Sean's already been sentenced and he's just waiting. He emailed his attorney and asked his attorney if there was any information yet as to where he was going to be sent to. Any idea? And his attorney sent him back an email again saying, you will be taken into custody from the U.S. Marshals, and then they will decide after you have surrendered or gone into custody. And he sent me this email. And, so in my mind, I'm like, man, Sean must be kind of tripping out in his mind a little bit because he's sitting here thinking, my attorney's telling me this. This ex-convict is telling me this. My attorney went to school and he studied and he's got a law degree. Theoretically, he probably should know better, but yet Dan sounds so convincing when he tells me that I can self-surrender. So even though Sean didn't say that, I was just wondering if he thought that. So I asked Sean for his attorney's email, and Sean was awesome enough, gave me his attorney's email. So I sent a really, really professional email to Sean's attorney, not saying, hey, you're wrong, obviously maybe the guy is new, maybe he hasn't encountered this yet, whatever. So I sent an email, something along the lines of, how are you doing? My name's RDAPdan. I have a YouTube channel that helps people preparing for prison. One of my viewers happens to be a client of yours, and he's under the impression that he's not able to self-surrender to the designated prison that he will be designated to. Rather, he will need to surrender to the U.S. Marshals in his local area and then be transferred to the prison at a later date. And I'm just curious on where this information came from. Is there a certain circumstance outstanding in his situation that's different from everybody else? Because 99% of everybody else that's not remanded at sentencing has the ability to self-surrender to the actual designated prison. The only time that they would surrender to U.S. Marshals is A, if they can't afford or find means to get transportation to the designated prison, maybe it's too far away, or B, for some reason, the U.S. Marshals didn't notify you. You got lost in the mail and you didn't know where to go, so you surrendered to the U.S. Marshals. Well, after the email, it probed the attorney to go do a little research, and I guess he actually called the Marshal's office, and he found out he did specify back to Sean that, yes, that is correct. You will be able to self-surrender to the designated prison once you receive that information. So he did correct himself. So guys, I can't stress it enough. I'm not saying your attorneys are wrong or they're lying to you or they're trying to cause you harm. Sometimes they just haven't. It's fair to say that we know attorneys don't deal too much on this side of the scope. Most of the attorneys are dealing with before you get in trouble, while you're in trouble, working out your plea, going back and forth, trying to handle that part of it. They don't spend a whole lot of time and effort, and they don't really understand because maybe they don't realize the need for it. So they don't focus too much on what happens after the fact or where you're going or how you're getting there. That's not something that they specialize in. So don't get upset when they don't know. That's what channels like mine are here for. And I'm not the only one out here doing it. I know it's, only a couple of fish in this pond, but with a little luck and a little hope, that pond might grow a little bit bigger because a lot of you are going to eventually be getting out of prison. And hopefully some of you keep sharing this information back with the community, keeping the community growing, right? Community as method, as we so like to say. So yeah, so that was some good information I know that was very reassuring for Sean, for sure. I keep getting these ESPN updates, and I'm not even that big of a sports guy. I do not remember downloading the ESPN app, but every time I look at my watch, it's one of those Google smartwatch things. It syncs to my phone, and it keeps telling me ESPN update. So I live here in Spokane, where we have this, what is that team up here in Washington? I don't know, the basketball Zags. The Zags, I guess, are doing really, really good. So if you guys are Zags fans, they're right over here by me. So also some new news is Shelly, my girlfriend, fiance, wife without a ring, whatever you, whatever you want to call her. She has left her job to work with me full time to help me grow this community a little bit bigger and help me with some of the administrative side of things, so I can really focus on the creative side of things, which works for me, because she's much more organized than me. She'll make sure you guys are getting what you need to get on time. So I got her kind of going through a little training process right now, getting her caught up to speed, having her work a lot with my writing department, so the writers know what they're doing, when they're supposed to be acting, and what we're waiting for, and making sure we're getting letters from you guys. I need you guys to send me those letters. Javier, not throwing any names out there, Javier. But when you don't send me letters, it makes it hard for me to finish what you guys paid me for, Javier. So if I'm waiting on letters for you, it would be awesome to get those letters as soon as possible, Javier. And if you've got questions, or you need some help writing the letters, or maybe you just want to flat out handwrite the letter because typing's not your thing, or you don't have a computer, Javier, you can you can email me, you can type it, you can take a picture of it, send it to me. Most important thing is to get me the letters, and we can retype them if we need to. The writers are fair. They might charge a small fee, $30-$40 to rewrite it for you, depending how long it is. But Javier, yep, talking to you, buddy. But it's important, guys, because I tell you guys that, hey, I'm going to be doing everything I can do, keep it moving, get stuff done for you guys. I don't like to wait till the last minute. I really, really, really don't. And we never know when certain things are going to happen. Michael F. in the house. What's up, Michael? All right. Michael, I got some information coming to you. I believe, if I'm correct, you were waiting on some information about the credit stuff. So I will have that coming to you guys. I've got an amazing company, guys, that specializes in helping reform people getting out of prison, helping them rebuild, reestablish, obtain credit. I mean, you name it, credit cards. They have a whole line of stuff, and these guys have an amazing rating, an amazing reputation. They're out of New York, and I'm going to be doing some work with them. I'm going to be promoting them on this channel a little bit, because a lot of people getting out of Michael, a lot of people getting out of prison, or getting ready to go into prison, want to get out to prison with clean credit and things like that. So I got an amazing program that I'll be talking to you guys very, very soon on some interesting stuff that you guys can work with. So yes, but yeah, it's real important, guys. Get me those letters. That's like the number one thing you can do, because the reason why it's so important, we don't want to wait till the last minute, is sometimes I will get a letter from you guys and it will not be completed. There was, a lack of effort put into it. It got thrown together by either your own letter or one of the reference letters that we're going to be waiting for. Because remember, we're waiting on personal narratives from you guys, and then we're also waiting on reference letters from your friends and family, whoever's going to be doing your reference letters. Now, I know there's other services out there. There's other coaches, consultants, whatever you want to call it, prison consultants, prison coaches, that do not require you to write your own letters. They write them for you. That's not me. I don't feel comfortable doing that, because you're giving this letter to a judge. The letter is supposed to be from you. The letter is supposed to be from your friends and family. I have no problem helping you edit the letter, giving you ideas, telling you, hey, you might want to think about removing that from the letter. But I want it to come from your mind. I want you to work on it, because it's hard. Like, for example, when I did my letter to the judge, I didn't write it. My attorney wrote it. And I felt like a complete asshole reading it, because it's like, doesn't even sound like something I would say. So I'm sitting here reading a letter, and came from somebody else's mind, literally my attorney. I wrote my own letter. My attorney's like, nope, I'll write it for you. And my attorney rewrote the letter, and it was nothing special. It was like not even a letter, it was a paragraph. You could have put it on an index card. And the thing is it wasn't my letter. There's nothing authentic about it. But yet I'm sitting here and telling the attorney, this is my letter in my own words. Yes, yes. So I'm sitting here basically doing the opposite of what I should be doing. I'm lying to the attorney. So, I mean, I'm lying to the judge, and it was, very, very fearful at that moment. So my recommendation, guys, even if you suck at writing, if you're slow, man, just take the time and just do it. Don't procrastinate. Don't put it off any longer. Just do it. Sit down in a quiet spot, start writing. And if it sucks and you know, like, oh man, this is garbage, start over. It's not, once you get that momentum going, I'm telling you, it's like stuff starts pouring out of you. And all of a sudden you think you're, you think you're John Grisham or Stephen King and you're writing this amazing novel and you're like, oh, this is amazing stuff. Didn't know I have it in me. So those of you that I'm waiting on letters, come on. Well, I need to do this for Halfway House. What did I miss, Del? Are you talking about the letters? If you're talking about the letters, yes. Not so much you yourself, Del. We can get a letter from you, but really the letters that we're really going to need in your case are from references that know you. Similar, I think I told you over the phone, similar to a reference letter that you would do to a judge, but it's not going to a judge. It's going to a case manager coordinator. So it's got a different audience, so it needs a different tone. So we can't use the same letters. We can use the same people, and we help those people. We explain to them what needs to go in the letter. When I say what needs to go in the letter, I don't mean like word for word what needs to go into the letter. I tell them the substance that we're looking for, like what type of things and how do they know you? How do they know about your crime? What kind of things were you doing when you were on pretrial probation? Basically, what we really want to show to a case manager coordinator, guys, is we really want to show them that you are a great candidate to go early to the halfway house because you're motivated. You've got a great support system waiting for you. You're willing to work. You need to save money. You're going to be paying the halfway house 25%. You might need to save money to, maybe some of you need to find a place to live when you get out. And 3 or 4 months halfway house is not enough time, for most people anyway, is not enough time to get reestablished, save money, make money, and then move out. This is how, in some cases, not all cases, this is how somebody can re-enter back into the system quite easy, because you get out and all of a sudden you're out on your own. You have no place to live, or no place that you want to live, maybe, and you have no money saved, and you're getting desperate, and your mind goes back to criminal thinking, your stinking thinking, whatever it is. You get these thoughts and these urges that once and upon a time caused you to make a very, very poor decision. So getting the additional halfway house time allows you to take more preparation and take your time, find the job, build your resume, get all of this stuff working, realize that there's going to be obstacles. You're not going to walk out and, get this job that you want. You guys got to remember, here's some crazy things about the halfway house. And maybe we'll shift over to the halfway house for a little bit and tell you guys some halfway house real deal stuff. So in the halfway house, when you go apply for a job, let's say you go apply, like Shelly got a job when she first got out. She worked at a coin laundromat. It was right next to the halfway house. She didn't have a car yet, so she just needed to take a job basically while she was in the halfway house. So she got a job at the laundromat. Now, once you go apply for the job and they say they're going to hire you, you got to tell them you're in the halfway house. You got to tell them about your crime. You got to tell them about all these things, because if you don't, what happens is before you can start working there, the halfway house goes to your job site, literally goes there with a piece of paper with your crimes on it. Only your relevant current crimes, not your history, just what the instant offense was. Instant offense meaning this crime that you're in prison for. They go there. Yes, Michael, but I'll reiterate for you in a minute. So they go to the halfway house. The people from the halfway house go to your job with this piece of paper saying what you did, and they make your manager, supervisor, owner, whoever it is, understand that you're living in a halfway house, you're a criminal, this is the crime that you did, and they're aware of that, and they're okay with hiring you. Now, that is not a deal breaker. Mentally, oh my God, is it a deal breaker? Mentally, to think about, man, I got to go hunt for a job, get a resume, get clothes, tell them I'm a criminal, tell them that somebody from the halfway house is going to go out and meet with them before they can hire me. You start to build these walls and these conclusions that no one's going to hire me. I'm unemployable. It's not true. It's hard, but you got to prepare for it. And luckily for you, RDAPdan is here to help you prepare when you release from prison. By the time most of you get out, we'll have a whole nother section where it's going to help you get a job. We're going to be working in different cities where we're going to be aligning employers with employees, and they'll be on our site. You'll have a profile that you can build, and it will have your crime if you want it. You can list everything and then make available for other people to view what you want to be able to view. But the cool thing is there will be a list of employers also on the website with their profiles, and they can scroll through you and say, okay, this person, I like their qualifications, I like what they can do, I'm interested. Boom. It's almost like a dating website, except it's for employee versus employer, where you can communicate with each other. So that's something that's in the works right now. I think that'd be awesome for you. So Michael is asking about the point system. So Michael, for one, hope you're listening. So, because this is for you. In the description of the video, there is a link to a PDF that I was able to find. And I actually found it on the BOP's website, believe it or not. It just took a lot of research. Those of you, I don't know who it was in this room, was talking shit about Prison Talk, not Prison Talk, the YouTube channel, but Prison Talk, the website that has been up forever. It's a forum. I found it on there, or I found the conversation on there that made me go look on the BOP's website where I found it. So guys, don't knock where you can learn something from. Prison Talk has some great stuff on there. It's been around forever. So anyway, Michael, what I was saying is there's a link on the description of this. It's got a PDF that I saved in my Google Drive that gives you a big breakdown to how the point system works. Now, points, we're not talking about your base offense level and your criminal history level. We're talking about your points on what determines whether or not you go to a camp, low, medium, or a pen. And it's not super simple to figure out. There's a lot of moving parts and a lot of factors. The younger you are, the higher your points are. Doesn't say why, but it just says the younger you are, the higher your points are. Now, I'm going to go out on a limb and imagine the younger you are, the more testosterone is flowing, the more likely you are to get into some shit and be a little bit cocky. You know, that might be one of the reasons why the younger you are. The type of crime you got, if it's a giant money crime, if it's a big drug crime, if it's violent, if you get to self-surrender versus not self-surrender. If you get to self-surrender, it usually reduces your points by 3 points. So there's all kinds of different factors that play in. The good thing is in the link in the description, it really does break it down. What I do have in front of me, because there's so much to go over that if I were to go over it in a video, it'd probably take me a couple of hours of discussing it. And it's almost, for some people, you really have to be reading it and looking at it to comprehend it, because it's not just a simple statement. It's really well, if this piece mixed with this piece, there's a lot of moving parts. However, just so you know, Michael, 0 to 11 points. Okay. If you want to jot this down, anybody, I'm going to say it again in case none of you got it before. So if you want to write this down, now's your time to grab a pen and paper, or open up a notepad on your phone, or grab some lipstick if you're a female and write it on the wall. So for men, if you're planning on going to a camp and you are a man, your points should be 0 to 11. Okay. If you're a man, not a woman, if you are a man, your points should be 0 to 11. If you are a woman, female, non-male, your points should be 0 to 15. So women get a little bit of an additional extra points because they probably, I think I'll explain why in a minute, why I think that is too. So women, 0 to 15 points will land you in a camp. Okay. A low. Okay. A low. Men, males, guys, a low. 12 to 15 points will put you in a low. Now, if for some reason you calculated your points and you think you're at like a 12, a 13, a 14 right now, remember, when you self-surrender, you knock off 3 points. Yes. 12 to 15 points. 12. I've drank too much coffee today, guys. I apologize. 12 to 15 points, if you're a male, can land you in Well, hold on. We'll talk about Johnny. You're scaring him right now. 32 points is his base. That's his base offense level. That's not the points that we're talking about. There's a different set of points. So 12 to 15 points land you in a low. If you are one of the ladies, 16 to 30 points. 16 to 30 points puts you in a low. Okay. Medium. This is where people really want to know the threshold, because if you're looking at a 5K1 possibility, you really need to know what you're doing walking into a medium with a 5K1. Not all mediums are ran the same. And guys, I'm trying to get an interview right now with a couple of guys that did time in a medium with a 5K1. I think you guys would really, really like to hear about that, as I would. Interesting. Yes, I agree. Okay, so 16 to 23 points for a man. 16 to 23 points for a man will land you in a medium. From what I'm seeing on this chart, they do not really have a medium for women. So I think that's why their points ranged different for camp and low. So 16 to 23 points for a medium. There is no medium level for women. For men, going to a pen, like a high security prison, going to a pen is 24 or plus. Women is 31 plus to land you in a high security. So there you go. Kimberly, did you bowl good? No. Well, I lost to my girlfriend's brother. He beat everybody, but I did beat the two women that were there, and it felt good. I definitely allowed the women know that I'm a better bowler than them. I kind of bragged a little bit, maybe a little bit too much. They didn't talk to me for a few minutes, but Kimberly, okay. Larry had 12 points, but land him in a low. But that now, good time, not good time, sorry. Time in prison, staying out of trouble, things like that, your points will go down. That's how people move from like pens, mediums, lows, camps. The other thing is you got to keep in mind, guys, in order to go to a camp for men, you have to have 10 years or less. Now, that could mean your sentence is like 12 or 13 or whatever, but after your good time is deducted, if it puts you under the 10-year mark, then you can go to a camp. For women, I believe it's 20 years or under can go to a camp. So a little bit different, but what I just gave you, that table is in the PDF. I don't remember what page it's on, but it's in the PDF that's in the description, that's in my video that we're creating in the moment. Hi. So let's see. Dan, I'm out, buddy. All right, Caviar. Caviar. I called you Caviar. Caviar, have an awesome night. I know you're tired. You got to work in the morning. See you Wednesday. Tell the lady I said hello. Give her a high five if you see her for me. How do you get out of restitution? Or was it a fine? Who got out of restitution? Chris, who are we referring to here? El Gordo, you have a YouTube channel, El Gordo? Kevin Chase, the prosecutor asked for $1 million and the PO did my PSR. And she said no restitution. Okay, so you didn't get out of, you got out of restitution, but once restitution is imposed, there's no getting out of it. Like once it's finalized and you've got restitution, there's no getting out of it. There is the ability in some situations to negotiate and settle. And it's not like you just offer them a set amount of money. What has to happen is it has to go, like basically you'd have to contact an attorney. Your attorney would have to contact the prosecutor, ask the prosecutor if they're willing to accept a smaller amount. The prosecutor, if there's victims involved, the victims all have to agree on this. In a lot of cases, they probably will if it's going to be some sort of a lump sum, or else they're just going to be getting a small percentage for freaking ever, depending on the amount. I must have missed what Todd said. Todd, that's a valuable message to put out there. We're all shitbags in our own way. Focus on becoming better a little bit each day is the important part. Even when you slip up, absolutely. You fall down, stand back up. What happened, Kevin? Explain to me what you're referring to, Kevin. What was it that messed you up there? Recovering shitbag. Todd, you're the best recovering shitbag I know. Dan, is there restitution if there were no victims? I mean, it depends. I mean, typically no, unless like, it was money laundering and, banks. I mean, it really depends. Most of the time, if there was no victims and it wasn't a money crime, there's not going to be restitution. There might be fines, court costs, things like that. But restitution, restitution is usually paying somebody back something typically. The restitution. Oh, gotcha, Kevin. Yeah. And Kevin, look, most people, I met so many people in prison that owe mega restitution, and they're out now. And it's, they take a little bit out of their paycheck. It's like they know you got to survive and figure it out, but that might be able to be negotiated as well. So don't freak out too much. For 6 kilos of MDMA. Yeah, that's a hefty restitution, man, for sure. Kevin, you said you get sentenced on what day? Do you need reference letters for halfway house? Lila, am I pronouncing it right? Lila, triple L. When you say, do you need reference letters for the halfway house? Are you asking if you're trying to get additional halfway house time? Do you need letters to help with that? Is that what you're asking? Just to make sure. Friday at 10 a.m. Okay. So we'll make sure to everybody, Kevin's got his sentencing on Friday at 10 a.m. So we got to make sure we put that good juju, that good energy out there like we did for Todd Hansen. Todd Hansen believes in the magic now. A little bit of magic. We got to give a little bit of magic to Kevin Chase. So Kevin could use some prayers, some good words, some thoughts. So let's make sure we sprinkle some of that all over Kevin for Friday. Kevin, you got to be putting that positive energy out there too, man. You got to, make right with everything, pray, get your family on board, what's going on with all that, let them know where you're at. Lila, triple. Okay. So you're just talking about just going to the halfway house in general. Lila, you do not need a reference letter to get into the halfway house. Everybody pretty much gets halfway house time. It's almost part of reintegrating back into society. Usually your last few months of federal prison, they'll send you to the halfway house. If you're trying to get additional halfway house time, like up to a year, then in that case, yes, there's a whole nother process that you have to do in order to try to make that happen. So yeah, you can try to do that. Good night, Kim. Kim, you leaving us? Night, Dan. All right, Kim, have yourself an awesome night. Go play with the cats. I'm supposed to self-surrender, but I don't have my mother will contact you, Dan. Sounds good. And if you think you're going to self-surrender, Kevin, like if your attorneys are telling you that and you've been doing what you're supposed to be doing, it's likely, don't obviously expect the worst. Don't be surprised if they did remand you, but chances are they won't remand you. And I will definitely be in touch with your mom. Your mom's emailed me a couple of times. I got all her information saved and logged and all that good stuff. Kim is the best and taught me that I created victims with my family and friends. Very true. Yeah, Kim had some nice story there. I spoke to Kim in pretty good detail too myself. Got Johnny asking Chris a question. I must have missed something there with Chris. So Chris, I hope that information helps you with the guidelines and the prison sentence and stuff. not sentence, the amount of time that you might do or might not, or the prison you might go to, the designation and medium, low, camp, things like that. So I think you'll probably end up at a camp or a low, but it'll be nice to have a great idea. What's up? What's up, Edward? Got Edward hanging out with us because cleaning the forest sounds better than paying money. Yeah, guys, a lot of times I've heard of a couple people that do probation to pay off fines, the court costs, things like that. You know, you can ask for probation, and sometimes they'll reduce the amount you owe financially, and they can put some of that into, you can pay it back through probation. So, yep. This stream is a nice surprise. This stream, specifically this one, explain why this one is a nice surprise. I thought all of my streams were nice surprises. I don't know whether to be excited or hurt by that comment, Edward. Just kidding. Now, you guys are a very cool crew. Cool cats. Very cool cats hanging out in the RDAP room, federal prison time. Now, I have a lot of fun with these guys, a lot of fun. Sometimes I get stressed out thinking about, what am I going to do a video about that? What am I going to, because, you know, I'm going literally 24/7. I forgot, somebody called me a robot. You know, I'm not a robot. Sometimes I act like a robot because I don't answer your guys' calls out of like, oh, somebody needs to call me, I got to answer the phone. I really like answering the phone when I see you guys call. If I see I missed a call, if you guys text me, like, I enjoy it, because a lot of the times when you guys ask me questions, it gives me thoughts and ideas for content. Like today, when you called me, and you're like, sorry for bothering you again, man, I know you're trying to do. I'm like, no, dude, trust me. You just gave me some great content for tonight, because I literally stopped what I was doing. When that call dropped, I spent the rest of the day until right before we went live, right before I posted the reminder text message, trying to find that damn information, because I know you guys want to know it so bad. And because you guys want to know it, now it's bugging me and I want to know it. And I was a little disappointed to see how confusing it still is. Even when you're reading the information, you're like, that's why I chose the maze as the background on the little screenshot that I sent you guys, because it's still a maze, right? But now we have like maybe a little bit of guidance going through the maze. So hopefully one of you super smart viewers out there will get that maze down to a science, and you'll give us all the cheat code so we all know what it is. But we're figuring it out. Yeah, Chris, you called me the robot Dan. But guys, I love taking your calls. You know, don't feel bad if it's a Sun. Look, if I'm really in the middle of doing something and I just can't answer the phone, I won't answer it. You know, if I get a text message and I see that it's important, I've literally been out before having, you know, a drink with my girlfriend or out to dinner, and literally like just date night or whatever. And I've read text messages from people that sound like they need a call, and I step out and make a call. And she gets that. She's so cool. She knows that this is our passion, my passion. It's starting to become her passion now a little bit more. Took her a while to get on the RDAP train, but she's doing it now. She's seeing the positive change that this is having, not only on you guys, but the positive change that it's really had on me. And, you know, we're going to sprinkle some of that fairy dust on her. She hated her job. She was cutting hair at Sport Clips, you know, whatever. She was a manager at Sport Clips. It wasn't because the money was bad or anything like that. It's just dealing with people all day that don't appreciate you. And it's the same crowd in and out, bullshit schedules. It's like, we get to create the fantastic voyage with rdapdan. We get to create this fantastic environment to where we're either going to make it or break it, and we don't plan on breaking this anytime soon. Come ride the train. You guys are awesome. So what are you facing at level 4 with 32 points? What's up, Corey? Corey, why does your name sound familiar? Corey. Oh, Corey, you sent me a friend request on Facebook and then it disappeared. You must have changed your mind. You had cold feet. Level 4 with 32 points, Corey. That might be a medium. That might be a medium. You know, I would need to know more. And if you feel comfortable talking about it in the room, I'm really happy you joined. By the way, bud, I'm happy you jumped in the room. But if you want to talk more about like what there's so many different variations of like what the crime was, your age, how much trouble you've been in the past. If you have a level 4, if you're a category 4 criminal history, I'm going to imagine that you've got some stuff in your past, whether it be a shitload of DUIs, some old stuff. But I would like to see more information on that. Sean, you're going to a medium. I'm not facing any prison time. Sorry. Oh, okay. Corey just had some cool questions. Corey, I would imagine at a category 4 criminal history, criminal history level 4 base offense level, I think you said 32. That's pretty high up there on the amount of time. Actually, the amount of time you're going to be doing on that is going to put you definitely going to put you into a medium, because I believe that is going to be above 20 years. And I can tell you right now, or above 10 years. So you're going to be out of a camp. That might even be above 20 years. Let's take a peek at the guideline table. Those of you that want to look at the guideline table, not the points for what prison you're going to do, but the guideline table to see where you're going to land based on points and criminal history level. That's on my website, rdapdan.com. If you just click on the RDAP tab, you can scroll down a little bit and you will see the federal sentencing guidelines. I'll probably post a link on here. So he said category 4, level 32. So that puts you at 168 months minimum to 210 months. So yeah, that would have you at a medium, right? 168 months. How many years is that? Medium, possibly a low. I got to do the math on that one. But anyway, thanks for joining us, Corey. How did you hear about the, how did you hear about the channel? Out of curiosity. I always like to know how people found me, because the channel is growing. I'm just fascinated with your channel. First time joining on your live chat. Awesome. That is super cool, man. You know, the weird thing about prison, it's like such a taboo subject where you don't even have to be going to federal prison or knowing anybody to go to federal prison to kind of be interested in like, it's like behind the scenes of federal prison. And it really kind of shows how much judging goes out there, and people, you know, want to count you down right away. They hear you're in trouble or you got arrested, you're automatically found guilty. You know, it's kind of like you got to prove your innocence. And seeing this side of things on how many actually really good people go to prison every day that made some bad choices, some poor decisions, and now they're going to pay some consequences for it. Some of us worse than others, but it is what it is. And, you know, Corey, the reason why, you know, I do this and the reason why other people hopefully do this is because there's such a lack of information out there. 99% of the information only brings you into the point of where you're getting sentenced. Anything after that, from like, what's prison going to be like? What type of prison am I going to go to? What do I need to worry about? What's the food like? What are the bathrooms like? You know, all of these questions that somebody that's getting ready to go through this, these aren't just questions. These are like super dire concerns that make you lose sleep, anxiety, like punches through the roof. You can't focus. You start taking it out on your family. Your work starts suffering. And before you know it, you're creating a whole new group of victims because your family takes the lashing of your pity party that you're going through. So the reason why we do this, the reason why I do this is to really try to keep people grounded on staying focused and in reality as where they are right now. Stop daydreaming about how bad it might be and start focusing on what you can do today to increase the odds and the chances of the best possible outcome. And the best possible outcome might not be no jail time. The best possible outcome might be 8 years in federal prison. And for some people, 8 years in federal prison sounds like a fucking death sentence. But for people like Todd Hansen, 8 years sounds like winning the freaking lottery when he was looking at 30 years prior. So by focusing and doing homework and being proactive and getting out there and really taking control, So many positive things can happen. And it's so sad that there are literally prison consultants that do not like me. And I'm not just talking about RDAP law consultants because I outed them on YouTube because they're shady scumbags. I'm talking about other prison consultants that I have no beef with. They do not like me for the fact that I do these videos. I give away so much information that here's the thing that I don't think there should be a price tag on. I don't think there should be a price tag on lowering your anxiety and reducing your fear. I can't charge you for that because it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't. Now, granted, those of you that hire me for writing, for different services that we offer, that's obviously a byproduct that you get is you find, like most of you that have hired me, that have conversations with me on a regular basis, you come to find out that if somebody were to ask you before you hired me, why are you hiring Dan? You'll say, well, he's going to help me with letters. He's going to help me get into RDAP. He's going to help me do get some additional halfway house time, blah, 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 right? That's initially why you hire me. If you ask somebody after they've hired me, they've gone through some time with me, why did you hire Dan? They're going to forget the original reason. They're going to go, oh man, when I got a question, or man, I feel like I'm going to jump off of a bridge and I don't know how to deal with my family and my family's mad at me. I call Dan and Dan breaks it down. He doesn't allow me to get stuck in this rut, in this negative thought process, this dwelling motion that I've wound up myself in. That's the real thing that you get with me. And that's what these videos, live feeds, this is what I try to really, really, really put out there. I'm telling you guys, anybody, any prison consultant that puts in a little bit of time, a little bit of effort can produce some decent letters, can produce some good content, can produce some flashy videos, can produce some flashy, pieces of paper that they're going to send you that's going to go, oh, this guy's got a really nice title on his name. He looks super legit. You guys all know the difference of a car salesman and somebody being real. That's the one thing nobody can accuse me of being on here and being fake, because there's plenty of times where I probably make a complete ass out of myself talking to you guys. Dan will help you even if you're broke. I will even help you if you're broke. Because let me tell you, when I was trying to go through this myself, when I went to prison, before I went to prison, and those of you that it's your first time in here, maybe you don't know that or not, and maybe you do know that I went to prison, but I have a video talking about it. I was terrified. I called prison consultants. I called a lot of them, probably all of them. And they all pretty much told me the same thing. They gave me a little bit about, we can help you get RDAP. We can help you go to a prison you want to go to. We can help you do less time. We can make sure you're comfortable in prison. The question is, how much money is in your wallet? It's like, man, none. Feds took it all. I didn't have any to begin with. I was broke. Sorry. I've got some videos online you can go watch, but sorry, we don't really, we can't help if you don't have any money, man. But if you can borrow some money from a family member, it's like, I can't. My family's broke and they don't trust me because I've been lying to them and manipulating them my entire life. And I probably owe them money as it was. So they're not going to lend me any money. My friends aren't going to lend me any money because they know that, how's he going to pay us back? I've burned so many bridges with some really good friends that to this day, I would love to get those friendships back. I would love it, love it, love it. I've ruined all kinds of relationships from poor, self-centered decisions, like maybe a lot of you have as well. And coming to terms with that, you realize when you stop feeling sorry for yourself that, look, it happened. I did it. I'm sorry for what I did. I've made attempts to make amends, and I can't make somebody think that I'm changed. Only they can ever come around and determine, hey, you look like you've changed. I want to give you a second chance. If they don't want to give me a second chance, I can't be mad at them for that. A lot of them gave me second, third, and 4 and 5 chances. And it really took for me to get to an all-time low in my life to really see the path of destruction that I created from people that I cared about to people that I didn't care about. And I'm still repairing a lot of those roads, guys, or attempting to repair those roads. And you guys have been the most therapeutic source for me because this does help me with something that I enjoy. I enjoy the pleasure of how I feel knowing that you guys are getting benefit from me. You know, me and Todd had this conversation. Me and Todd have a lot of similarities. We both like the satisfaction of people needing us or wanting us. The issue with that is if you don't identify that and it's not in your awareness, it can take over your ego and you can become a dick. You can become somebody nobody wants to be around. I'm never going to change completely who I am. That's never going to go away, but I've become identifiable with it to where it's in my awareness, to where I'm not allowing it to control me in my actions. I'm keeping it at bay. I'm like, all right, sit, boy, sit. I know you're there. I'll give you a little scratch. I'll give you a treat, but I'm the master. You're the pet. So I keep my ego as a pet. I know he's there. I know he wants to jump up and do things all the time. He's constantly there doing push-ups, staring at me saying, come on, man, let's go run the world. Let's take over things. But no, he's got to maintain as a pet. That's how you got to do it. So basically, guys, what I'm saying is you really got to be honest with yourself, because if you can't, you're just lying to everybody else and lying to yourself, and it's fucking gets you nowhere except right where you're getting ready to go. To prison, the big house, the pen. So I appreciate those of you that really come on here and watch this stuff, because I know sometimes, look, to somebody that's never going to go to prison or isn't in any type of trouble, isn't looking to go to prison, I do realize that this can almost be boring. You know, this isn't necessarily what everybody wants to talk about, what everybody wants to listen to. But those of you that watch this, that aren't going to prison, that means that, you know, this is just an interesting topic for you. And I think that's great, because you never know when you're going to run across somebody that's, you know, you hear that they might be going to prison. You're like, hey, I know somebody you should be checking out. This crazy guy on YouTube that's talks about going to prison and what federal prison was like and the real deal. So, you know, it's not a hellhole. It's not the worst place in the world. There's plenty of places that are way worse than federal prison when it comes to a camp or a low. I didn't spend any time in a medium. I didn't spend any time in the pen. I wish I had, just so I could talk to you guys about it. That's how fucked up my sense of wanting to be able to give you guys information is I wish I spent time in the pen so I could speak on that and get some more street cred. Clearly, according to some of my viewers, I don't have enough street cred to talk about going to federal prison. You guys want to hear somebody talk about themselves and how great they are, other than me? Go watch a prison consultant by the name of Larry Levine. Maybe some of you have heard of him. Maybe some of you hadn't. I'm not saying the guy's wrong or right. Different approach for sure. But Larry Levine is for sure, that guy's a character. If he's really like that in real life, holy God, look out for his family. But Larry Levine is a freaking character. So I hope you guys look him up. He's a prison consultant. I forgot the name of his company. But Larry Levine is a trip. And I enjoy watching his videos. See, he doesn't have a lot of videos, but he's got a lot of content. He's done a lot of interviews. But crazy. This is my second federal case. I did 5 years in 2004. Repeat offender in the house. So Alex knows what it's all about. He just comes here just to see if I'm keeping it honest and telling you guys the real deal. So we got Alex keeping me real, keeping me accountable for my actions. But, you know, prison, you guys are all going to get through it. I can promise you that. There's people that go to the pen every day. There's people that go to the medium every day. And 99% of these people return home. So people make it through prison. Sean called me and it really helped. I would suggest if anyone feeling anxiety and having a hard time on pretrial, call Sean. This is what's awesome, guys. It's you guys are having conversations with each other. You're calling each other. And my dream, look, there was a day where I was sitting in prison. I was in RDAP sitting in the morning, waiting for the class to start. And we was there like 30 minutes early. And I'm just jotting down ideas and I'm thinking what some cool ideas would be. And I'm like, man, why can't there be a one-stop shop where you can find out about RDAP? You can find out about reentry programs. I wasn't really thinking about going into prison. That I didn't think about. I was thinking about more getting ready to get out of prison because there was so much just lost in translation. And I was sitting there saying, it'd be great to have this community where people could go to a general source, and I wasn't thinking of YouTube at the time, but people could go to a single source and be able to migrate out and have contact with all of these different people to help each other. And this is just the touch of the tip of the iceberg where we're at right now, guys. This thing is going to catapult into something huge. And I'm not saying huge by money terms. I'm saying it's going to catapult into something huge where resources out the ass are going to be available with understanding of you can go to one spot and get all of these questions answered. And I don't know why it's not done yet. And if it is, maybe I just haven't found it yet. But man, I am on the hunt. And I feel like I'm a pioneer because we saw some information out there, right? We all saw some information on prison consulting and prison coaching. And, we've seen other people. And I don't know if it's just me, but I don't really see anybody doing it like this. I think this is kind of where this is the only place it could go. With the way YouTube works and the way live videos work, this is the direction it eventually had to go in. And I'm happy that I was able to recognize that and be the first one. I won't be the last one. You guys mark my word. There will be other prison consultants that are doing live videos and only make sense. They're not stupid. They're going to see that it's got a cool fan base following and people really appreciate it and people are into it. So I imagine it will happen sooner or later. I just like that I'm the pioneer. I'm like Christopher Columbus of prison consultants in a sense. I'm definitely getting too cocky tonight. Get down, ego. Sit. But it was a great day, guys. We woke up early. Me and my girlfriend, we went and we got breakfast today. These are the things I used to dream about doing in prison. Like a lot of you are dreaming about it right now. Thinking about all these little things that you took for granted. The closer you get to sentencing, you think about the trees that you're looking at. You think about being able to sit in just something simple, sitting in a chair at your house, a comfortable chair with a remote control in your hand, laying on the couch with no background noise, no inmates screaming in the background, no guards telling you, no, 4 p.m., stand up count. Everybody must stand for this count. No more hearing that. It was a good feeling, to want that, and to really think about these things that you want to do when you get out of prison. And you want to do the simple things that you take for granted right now. Not that you guys take it for granted right now, but the things that we take for granted as human beings, it's human nature, man, because we're always on the hunt. We always want something more. We want. We get a nice car. We want a newer car. And it's not even because that car might be better. You just want something different. Always clothes, shoes, cars, phones. Your phone works. Like I've got the Galaxy S7 Edge, whatever, the S7 8, whatever it is comes out next. I'm going to be like, oh, I want that phone. Why? We're programmed for it. But when you're in federal prison, you're not thinking about the high-end phone or the next new computer or the top car. You're thinking about, man, how cool would it be to hang out with my wife right now, or my girlfriend, or my boyfriend, or my husband, whatever you got out there, to just hang out in silence. Shower shoes. Man, Alex, why'd you have to go there? Taking a shower with no sandals on. Alex just hit it on the head, guys. Most of you right now, when you get in the shower, you get in the shower barefoot, right? You get in the shower barefoot, unless, maybe you got some roommates or something that, shower's dirty or whatever. But for most of you that live at your house, your house, you get in the shower barefoot because your shower's probably clean. And if it's not clean, you're like, it's my foot scum. I can step in it if I want to. So that's on your own. Maybe you don't clean your shower. Maybe you do. I don't know. But in prison, you're wearing shower slides. You won't be caught dead in the shower with no shoes on. People are having abortions in the shower and peeing in the shower, and they don't get cleaned out properly. So it's pretty disgusting. I remember when I got out and the first time I went home and I put my shower slides on when I went home. This is when I went to move home. This is when I went home on a social pass from the halfway house. It was my first time at the house, and I was getting ready to take a shower and I caught myself putting my shower slides on. And I was like, whoa, what am I doing? I can get in the shower barefoot. Things like that are so appreciative. Like right now, I'm here in my house. You know, I'm dressed, but I've got no shoes on. I'm barefoot. You know, you guys can't see my feet, so I don't need to wear shoes. I'm not, you know, I wear a shirt and jeans just to impress you guys, but I'm not going to wear shoes to impress you. So I'm wearing barefoot shoes, socks. You know, I'm hitting the carpet on my feet, and it feels great. These are things that you're not going to have after a while. You're going to realize what you miss. So what I say, and Alex just nailed it on the head. Write these things down when you're in prison. Write down what you miss, and don't forget it when you get out. You know, you can just have random things throughout your house. You can have like shower slides. Somebody come to your house. Why do you have a sign that says shower slides? Don't worry about it, man. You don't know what that means. It's real. That's real talk. So yeah, good one, Alex. But that's like everything, you know, prisons when it comes to that kind of stuff, I don't care if you're at a camp or you're at a pen. Those type of things, they are what they are. Showering. I remember cleaning my clothes in the shower. You know, they wash your clothes. You can send them to laundry, but your good clothes, your basketball clothes, your clothes you're going to go work out in, you know, sometimes you need to wash it every day because you might be sweating every day. So you're washing your shorts in the shower with shampoo or with soap, and you're hanging it up somewhere, waiting for it to dry. Fucking process when you're like, God, do I wish I had a washer and dryer? I could just throw my stuff in right now. Some camps have those, you know, you got washer and dryers in your unit, so it makes it easier. But I didn't have that where I was at. Dan, wear that old-timey prison costume next stream. I don't have it. They threw it away when I self-surrendered. They took it from me and threw it in the garbage, or else I would. But I might, you know, I might go out and buy one, and we'll do a little throwback. I'll grow out my beard, nice and Al-Qaeda-like. Get that Al-Qaeda beard going back. That's what I felt like I looked like. I felt like I looked like Al-Qaeda. There's only a white guy in the world that grows a beard, and all of a sudden I become Muslim because I have a beard. So remember us OGs when you're famous, Dan. I'm never going to be famous, at least not that kind of famous. And I will never forget this group of people. Shelly's like, oh, you're going to see your friends. Like, she literally like talks about this as like, I'm going to see you guys. And she calls you guys my friends. She doesn't call, you're going to see, she doesn't say fans or anything like that. Like friends, because I don't see you guys as fans. You know, I'm not doing anything to create fans. I'm doing stuff to create friends and information that we can all share and talk about. So I love doing this. I love it when I see new people, new faces, new comments, new subscribers. That's really what, like, I see you becoming lead prison consultant on CNBC. Hey, I will not turn it down if the opportunity presents itself. I'm not going to lie. I do self-promote, and I've been reaching out to news stations because, look, I've watched prison consultants on TV, and I'm like, how did this guy get on TV? What editor or executive producer was like, yeah, that's the guy we need to get? That just means that that's the only guy they ever heard of, and that's the only guy they knew. So trust me. Just like you, Dell Hawkins. Dell Hawkins is a newbie. She's a, what's that called in the video game world? She's a noob. She's a noob, and she's learning the ways. And you know what she said to me on the phone today, which was awesome? She said she's excited. She actually said she was excited. And I don't know if she was saying she was excited to go to federal prison, or she was just excited that she wasn't feeling as nervous. She's going to Alderson Federal Prison Camp. It's where Martha Stewart went. It's got to say for something, right? Martha Stewart was there. Now, I know, here's the thing. When you guys picture Martha Stewart in prison, what do you picture? You picture Martha Stewart in her own cell with curtains and a little like oven. That's what I pictured, right? And you know, she's got her knitting, and she's like got her own little world in her own private cell with nobody else. Like, she's Martha Stewart, so she must be getting extra treatment that nobody else gets. Is that what you guys imagined Martha Stewart getting, just out of curiosity? Because if it is, Martha Stewart did not get that kind of treatment. I can promise you that. And I don't know this because I know this. I know this because I know this. Does that make sense? Follow what I'm saying? Martha Stewart was at a women's prison camp, and she was in there with all other women. And she, I mean, the things that she probably got different that nobody else got is she had endless amounts of money. She probably had inmates coming up to her wanting to like be her friend and do anything they could for her. But Martha Stewart was wearing the same clothes. She was eating, for the most part, the same food. She was going through the same routines. She had to stand up for the same counts. It's not like that. It's not like what you see on TV where it's like they get their own cool little area. You know, she was Martha Stewart. She had a credited name, obviously, but she was in there with all the other women. And that's a great idea. We are going to find some people that were in prison with Martha Stewart that are willing to come on the channel. So now let's talk about upcoming episodes, guys. Let's talk about some upcoming shows, what we're going to be talking about in some upcoming shows. One of the things, so mark this on your calendar. Well, don't mark it on your calendar because I don't have a date yet, but mark it in your memory bank for something that you'll probably want to remember. Is I am in the very, 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 very short future, as in like this week or next week, I will be interviewing somebody that went to a medium that had a 5K1 so they can explain that process to us. And sorry for the video getting all blurry. Don't know what happened. Orange is the new black. Orange is the new black is similarly accurate. It's not completely accurate. It's not as, you know, TV-ish, but Shelly has told me, because Shelly, my girlfriend, she was at a camp. She said it does go down a little bit like that, the way the TV show Orange is the New Black goes down. So, sure, Sean, bring your golf clubs. They'll definitely let you in with your golf clubs. So I am going to have a live interview with somebody that went to a medium that had a 5K1. I know that is for me. Look, I want to know more about that. I want to know the real deal. I don't want to hear the fake bullshit stories on what people say. I want to know what really went down in a prison with a 5K1 in a medium. Also, a buddy of mine just got released from prison this month. He just reached out to me on Facebook. Cool dude named Brian. Very cool dude. Like, he was my workout partner. He actually taught me a lot of the workouts that I do. Like, I worked out with him. Let's put it that way. He didn't work out with me. I worked out with him. He did RDAP. He graduated RDAP before me. He still had a little bit of time left, so he transferred out to a camp, and he should have got out quite a while ago. And I'm like, man, how come I haven't heard from him yet? Well, he did. I don't know what he did yet. Somehow he got his year taken away from him while he was in prison still. So guys, remember, just because you graduate RDAP doesn't mean it's done. You can still lose it until you're finished with the halfway house. RDAP is still up for grabs. So you still got to walk that fine line. Don't get too complacent. So we're going to have that video. So those are two videos that I'm really looking forward to having in the near future. Any way to get an RDAP counselor on? Yeah, you know, Todd, that's a good question, man. And I imagine the only way to do that is it would probably have to be an RDAP counselor that is no longer there. I don't see an RDAP counselor unless, look, the only way that's going to happen is if somehow my channel gets enough exposure to where, because here's the thing right now, okay? Let's take any public official, whether it be a counselor, whether it be a warden, whether it be anybody, an attorney, a judge, anybody, right? Not so much attorneys, but like judges, things like this. Before they're willing to get on and almost promote you or agree with what you're saying, they don't want to be the first ones, just in case it goes bad, right? So everybody out there that is watching my channel, that's in any type of position of power, is waiting for that one person that's willing to jump out there and do it first. When that one person does it first and they see that it's liked by the masses and the audience enjoys it, the public is for it and not against it, then other people are willing. But people don't want to be the first one. That's the thing, is being the first one is taking risk. And a lot of people like to take calculated moves and minimize their risk by not taking any. I'm in a position, obviously, where risk is all I can really do because, what's the worst that can happen? People hate me. Okay. I'm an ex-felon. It's okay, big deal. I get hate mail all the time. I get emails from people that either just are trying to be mean or be negative, and they post stupid comments. And you know what? I embrace it all, because at least they're posting comments, right? At least they're watching the videos. At least they're growing the channel. Haters, lovers, all like, of course, I want the balance to be more lovers than haters. And that's clearly the formula been so far is, 1%, 2% people hate what I do, think I'm an idiot, think I'm a scumbag, don't like my channel, think I'm not funny, think I'm not interesting, think I should not make live videos and only edited, really interesting, funny videos and talk about things that aren't really related to our kind of topics. So I have to take that with a grain of salt, and I can't allow my feelings to get hurt. We all know what it's like to feel pressure from somebody that wants to hate on us. And Todd, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You and I just had this conversation. There's people that are going to hate, and they don't have a real reason. They're focusing all of their attention onto something that has nothing to do with them. Instead of focusing on their own plate, they're so curious as what's on yours. And people like that have very, very insignificant meaning to me, because these people could be doing great things instead of hating. We're in a community. I'm in a community where it's not a giant pond. It's not like a million of us. It's not like other industries I've been in, whether it be mortgages or student loans or things of that nature, where there's a million people doing the same thing. This is a small group of prison consultants, coaches, prison related videos, right? There's not a bunch of people out there doing it on a regular basis. Why can't we all just get along? We can all help each other. I'm not for everybody. Everybody's not for me. I may not be the right fit for you. One of the other prison consultants may be a better fit for you. Maybe they said something you liked. Maybe they did something you liked. Maybe I said something you didn't like. Whatever it is, we could all be working. We don't have to work together, but we could have this community and we could share information. I could call them with great information. They could call me with great information. Doesn't work that way, unfortunately. Neither does the world. So I just deal the hand that's dealt. And I love my cards. Even if they're not aces, I might have a pair of twos, and I'm good with that. Dell heard the halfway house taking any and all comments. Is it true the halfway house is worse than prison camp? Dell. All right. So that's a tricky question. Yes and no. Okay. Yes and no. Is the halfway house worse than prison? Not just a prison camp, prison. Is the halfway house worse than prison? I was at a low. Shelly was at a camp. When we both got to the halfway house, we were like, what the F is this? I want to go back to prison. Now, granted, I said that. Shelly may have really meant it because she had only a short amount of halfway house time. I said it, but I don't think I really meant it. Here's the downside to halfway house, Dell. In prison, you have a lot of freedom. You have a compound. You can go do things. You can go walk the track. You can go exercise. You can go to the library. You can go to church. In the halfway house, most halfway houses are rundown, dilapidated type of places, whether they're buildings, whether they're little dorms. They're usually kind of gloomy. The staff members that work there aren't super I've related it to this many times, guys. You've all heard me say this. If you've been to a tax collector's office or like the driver's license office, the way the people that work there, how they just they're there and there's just nothing to do. And everything you do is scrutinized. Like you can't just say, I'm going to go for a walk. You can't do that. You can't walk out of the halfway house. You can't just go do what you want to do when you want to do it. For the most part, everything you want to do in the halfway house is scheduled out a week prior. So like, let's say next week, I want to go to the gym. I got to let them know this week, my entire itinerary of what I want to do. It's got, they give you pieces of paper that you got to fill out. I'm going to be going to the gym from this time to this time, and it's got to be approved. You can only go to the gym for, let's say, that halfway house only lets you go for an hour, and maybe they only let you go 2 or 3 times a week. You have to have a job in order for most places to let you go to the gym. If you want to go get a haircut, you got to plan it out a week earlier. If you want to go buy hygiene products, you got to plan it out a week earlier. There's no going, oh, I'm going to go get lunch with my kids, or I'm going to go grab breakfast with my daughter, or I'm going to, I'm going to go stop at the store and pick up. It doesn't work like that. Everything is scrutinized, and there's really nothing to do at the halfway house. Most of them are very basic. They might have a little TV room, and that's about it. It's usually beds, TV, a little kitchen area, maybe some rink-a-dink, like some kind of a little weight bench, maybe, or a little Bowflex, maybe, but that's it. Food, depending on where you're at, is okay. You go to work, you come back. There's no deviating. Like if you're going to go to work, you can't stop on your way to work and stop at the store to buy something. They want to know you're going to point A to point B. If they catch you stopping or going somewhere you're not supposed to go, they call that deviating. You can get in trouble. You can get your passes get taken away from you. You can lose your social passes, which are social passes when you go home on the weekends. It's very easy to mess up in the halfway house. And actually, since you asked that question, Del, I've got a video about me going back to federal prison. When I was in the halfway house, I messed up in the halfway house, and I actually went back to not federal prison. I went back to county jail for 20 some odd days while I was fighting it. And I will put a link in there for you guys right now that you can watch that video if you're interested. I just have to find it. So bear with me for a second here while I'm doing that. But the halfway house it's not easy, but once you get the hang of it and you understand what it is, man, you get to eat real food. You get to see your family, even though you can't see them all the time on your own terms. You get to see them. You get to eat food. You get to be out in public. So knowing what I know now, and after going through it, I would prefer to do as much halfway house time as possible versus doing more time in federal prison. Hold on, guys. I didn't realize I had this many videos. My goodness. Let's see, that was back in like March or April of last year, right? So should be there in a second. So does that answer your question, Del? And if you have any specific questions about halfway house, I suggest you feel free to ask me. Here it is. I found the video. Okay. Ask me any questions you want about the halfway house. And just keep in mind, not all halfway houses are run identical. There is some differences on halfway houses. Some are the same, some are different. So here's a link, guys, right here that I'm posting. That is the reason I went back to prison. My halfway house is not that bad. After 2 weeks working, you get to go home. Alex, what was your prison sentence, Alex? Like how much time were you sentenced to back then? I'm not talking about on this bid here. I'm talking about your last bid. What was your sentence? What is the max house time possible? Are you talking about the max amount of halfway house time? Yes. Halfway house is considered part of your prison sentence, Todd. Halfway house does not count towards like probation or anything like that. So if you get sentenced to whatever your prison sentence is, minus your good time, halfway house is part of that. So you're still in BOP custody when you're in the halfway house. You got sentenced to 60 months. And how much halfway house time did they give you? Okay, so Dell, let's pay attention real quick. So as you see, this is what you and I were talking about earlier. Alex just told you after 2 weeks he got to go home. So Alex's sentence was 60 months. Okay, so he can technically, out of that 60 months, he's allowed to do 10% of his 60 months on home confinement. They gave him 6 months halfway house. That's the reason why he was able to go home so fast, was because he got to the halfway house. His 10% date was already there. So in your case, you're getting 24 months prison time. If you get 6 months, if you get a year halfway house, you won't be able to go right home, because 10% of your sentence is only going to be 2.5 months. That's the difference that Alex didn't explain that part of it. So just to be clear, guys, you can do 10% of your prison sentence on home confinement. I heard good time might be changed to 75%. True or false? I mean, they might do a lot of things, but as of right now, that is nothing that is set in stone. They've been talking about that for years. I've heard 65%. I've heard they're bringing back parole to the feds. So there's a lot of stuff that's unverified. So that is a non-verified statement. Dan, I got to go. I didn't have a college paper due tomorrow that I haven't started yet. Get to school, Edward. Got to get cracking on those books, my man. But yes, I appreciate it. So Del, did that make sense to you? Because I know you got all excited when you heard Alex say he only had to serve 2 weeks and he wanted home confinement. So I want to make sure you understand, like, set that expectation. That's the one thing we like to do here, is we like to reel in those expectations. It's great to have them. They got to be realistic. How do you find out how much halfway house time you are given? Okay, so the halfway house is initiated by your case manager at prison. So once you get to Alderson, you'll be assigned a case manager. They're the ones that are initially going to put you in for your halfway house time. And I've got a lot of clients that are actually at Alderson. So I can tell you, in your situation, they will initially put you in for somewhere between like 2 and 4 months. Once they put you in for that amount of time, that's when we come in behind it, requesting the additional time. We can't request the additional time until they put you in for whatever it is they're going to try to put you in for first. So that's how the process has to work. Thanks, Edward. We love you too, man. Thanks for joining us. And, if you have any questions, make sure you're here Wednesday, same time, same place, same channel, same host. Hopefully some new members. So there's a lot, you're going to hear a lot of, when you guys get into prison, and Alex, you can probably verify this, you'll hear a lot of jailhouse rumors. People will tell you no matter what, as soon as you get to the halfway house, as long as you got a job, they send you right home. That's not true unless your 10% date is already there. And for some guys that served a long period of time, yeah, they get there and their 10% date is already there. But if you're on a short sentence and you get a decent amount of halfway house time, just like me, I got 11 months halfway house and my sentence was 42 months. So I had to serve, 4.5 months of that had to be, I could only do home confinement for 4 months. The rest of it had to be done in halfway house. And that was a big bubble that got popped for me, because I believed what I was hearing from other inmates, because they make it make sense. They're like, man, the halfway house wants to get you out of there as soon as possible, because even when you're on home confinement, you're still paying the 25%. So now they can charge you 25%, and they can put somebody else in the bed that they had given you, and they can charge them 25%. So they can make all this extra money by not having you at the halfway house. So they want to get you out of there as soon as possible. It's all rumors, not true. I wish it was. I really do, because that would be awesome, but it's not true. Not true. Man, I fooled you all with Todd Hansen. You guys all thought he was remanded in prison for 17.5 years. I had you all bamboozled. Word of the day is bamboozled. And it was so hard to keep a straight face, but I loved Todd. I need to make a screenshot of Todd just with that crazy, excited, never been happier face, and make that my screensaver. So on the math, 85% time sentence, then subtract 12 months for RDAP and anything else. Correct. Anything else meaning halfway house. But halfway house is still part of the sentence. It's just you're not doing it at the prison. So you've already received your paperwork, right, Dell, saying you're going to go to Alderson. Like you received your paperwork from the U.S. Marshals, or you got word from your U.S. pretrial probation officer, or that's just what the judge told you, or they recommended you to go to Alderson at your sentencing. Kevin, you out of here, my man? If you are, have yourself a wonderful night and keep that energy positive. Yeah, Kevin needs an extra nudge, guys. You know, the good thing about this room is when I find out what your flaws are, we expose it, because if we expose your flaws and your issues in here, the group can help you with it, because you guys aren't alone. You guys aren't suffering this alone. So something Kevin needs some reassurance is Kevin tends to get a little on the angry side, and he can blow up, and his temper can get a little bit, just like any of us, we tend to sometimes get mad and we don't know how to express it and focus and harness that energy to something positive. So if you guys know any positive techniques to deal with like anger and stuff like that, feel free to message Kevin or message me, and I can message Kevin, because we all have something to work on. And the beautiful thing is if we share this in these communities, we can all grow together. We don't need to have secrets. Obviously, I'm not going to out anybody that's got some serious stuff. But if you got some anger issues, or you're an awfulizer, we're going to pick on you, and we're going to pick it apart, and we're going to help you feel better about it. Kevin does not sleep. Kevin's a robot, not me. No, I know what you're saying, Kevin. It's hard to sleep when you got all this stress on your back. And no matter what we say in this room, no matter what we talk about on the phone, it's hard. It's hard. The only thing that we can try to do is, it's going to get easier. You're going to go in, you're going to come out. That door is going to open back up. You're not going forever, man. You're going to get out one day at a time. Sean, 1 week to the day. Really, that's right. You surrendered the beginning of next month, though. And when you said next month, I was thinking you still had some time. So you surrender 7 days from now. How are you feeling right now, Del? We got your back, Kevin. Community is method. No man is left behind. Hopefully. We pick each other up and we carry ourselves around. You nailed it on the head, Corey. He's actually, best case scenario for Todd is he's looking at just under 5 years. Corey's got his math down. If anybody needs a math question, Corey's your man. Or if anybody needs to know what it's like not to fuck your life up and go to prison, Corey's your man. Dell's very scared. What are you mostly scared of, Dell? What's like when you say you're scared, what does that look like? Like paint us a masterpiece of what being scared looks like to you. Pointing at you, Dell. Yeah, it's nice having the females on here. I'm not going to lie. Having the females on here and the ladies sharing their information, and there's not a lot of information out there, and ratio wise, it's really more men than women. So really trying to, ladies, you are welcome. You are more than welcome. You are invited. You are wanted. We need you, because what you're going through in a lot of ways is rougher than what a lot of the men are going through. Women hold the houses down. You guys are like the centerpiece of what keeps stuff moving. Like I don't know what I would do without Shelly. Like I wake up, I do stuff. I do what I got to do. But if she wasn't here, I'd be like, oh my God, it's like the battery of the house is gone. Not really knowing what really to expect. No family contact. I live in St. Louis and I'm going to West Virginia. Missing my daughter, nursing school graduation. Yeah, those are things that are more than scary. It's probably I think you're identifying with the negative aspects of prison, of what you're going to miss being away, like the consequences. So right now, what you're describing are what the consequences are of what happened to you. And there's no easy fix to that. But I can tell you, the way you deal with the consequences is you got to realize that it is what it is. And the best thing you can do is stay positive and keep constant communication with your family. I believe Alderson, just like Coleman now, also has the video chat where you can live chat video, for people that can't come visit you. You've got the phone, you've got the email, and you've got letter writing, right? So these are some things that you have to do above and beyond. Like, it's going to be up to you to reach out to your friends and family and your daughter, get pictures from nursing school. You can't beat yourself up forever. You're not going to be there. There's nothing you can do to change that. So you can't allow yourself to be super depressed and funked out about it for too long. I get it. It's easier said than done, but you got to work on being positive now. You got to work on finding what are the positive things that are going to come from this experience. What are you looking to learn from this experience? So if you can take this negative and dig through all the shit and look for the little diamonds that are there and what you can take out of what this experience might bring you, I promise you, at the end of the day, you can emerge. No, Dell's making my eyes teary by telling me that she's crying right now. I know how hard it is. I really do. When I had to talk to my children about going to federal prison and explaining this to them, it was so hard to. I felt so guilty. I felt like the worst parent ever to walk the face of the earth. Like, there is nobody that has ever done anything this bad. Like, I'm like, how are my kids supposed to understand and deal and process that their dad is going to federal prison? And I have two awesome, kick-ass, wonderful daughters. And that thought tears you apart. But the healing process takes place once you start replacing that with positivity. I called my kids, I emailed my kids, and I never once allowed myself to get too negative, especially when I was in prison. When I emailed them, every email I sent home was a positive, upbeat email. There might have been a sentence or two in the email by saying, today was an extra stressful day, or today was a really rough day, but I'm getting through it. And these are the positive things that I did today. There was people in there that were amazing artists. I would have them draw pictures of my kids, constantly letting my kids know that I was thinking about them and working on my relationship the best way I could from a distance. I never got to see my kids while I was in prison. They were in New York. I was in Florida. Similar to your situation, Dell. I had no family near me. The person I loved, my girlfriend, she was in prison, at the same prison as me. She was in the camp. I was in the low, so I couldn't see her. All my friends and family were hundreds of miles away, so it wasn't really practical for people to come see me. So you have to find other ways to make it work. And I promise you, if you put your mind to it and you stay positive, and the best way to stay positive is obviously thinking positive, yes, but you got to train your brain to do that first. Not everybody can just do that. There's great books to read. I've told everybody about the book, Awaken the Giant Within. And if some of you are still stressed out and you haven't bought that book yet, I don't know what's wrong with you. It's on Amazon. It's like $7 used, paperback. Anthony Robbins, Awaken the Giant Within. And if you forget the name of it, you can ask me again. You can put it say, what was that book again? Awaken the Giant Within from Tony Robbins. It is an amazing book. Yes, this guy's a motivational speaker. And yes, you might have a predetermined idea of what that means. But that book, specifically for people that are getting ready to go to prison, I'm telling you, if you read it with an open mind, it grabs a hold of you and you resonate with it 100%. So I promise, Del, that you are going to get through this, and you are going to have an amazing relationship with your kids, and you're probably not going to regret going through this, because you're probably going to learn some things about yourself that you didn't know. One of the things that you said to me on the phone, which we didn't have a long time to talk, so I didn't really get a chance to comment on it. One of the things that you said to me that stuck out in my head, so don't take this the wrong way. You were not in this alone. You were in a conspiracy, and one of the other people got sentenced to a very long time. And you said you don't talk to them anymore because you're in this situation because of that person. Now, I'm not saying you should or shouldn't talk to that person. It might be an unhealthy relationship. It might be best to not talk to that person. You might be correct, but it's important for you as a person to take ownership. And I don't know everything about your situation, but most people that go to prison, you allowed yourself to make some choices, whether you allowed yourself to be around somebody that wasn't doing things that they should be doing. At some point, you probably had an idea that something wasn't right, and you decided to stay around or stick around. And if I'm wrong, correct me. But most people that I talk to, at the end of the day, when they really, really dig deep and they want to stop blaming and they take ownership, you put yourself into probably a risky situation. When you put yourself into that risky situation, you put consequences on the other end of it. And those consequences fucking suck, because that's what takes us away from our families. You know, it was very easy for me to justify what I did. Oh, I worked for a doctor's office. The doctor was writing bogus prescriptions. I didn't know it at the time. I wasn't like, oh, I know for a fact he's writing bad prescriptions. So when the feds came in and indicted everybody, I'm like, how am I getting in trouble for some bullshit he did? There was writing on the wall. When I really looked deep and I really, really stopped blaming everybody else and I started taking some responsibility, I said to myself, you know what? It was a little weird that patients were driving from Kentucky and Ohio all the way down to Georgia to come see my doctor. Not my doctor, but the doctor I worked for. Nobody drives states to go see a regular doctor that they could go see in their own town and area. So the more you start looking at that situation and you revisit what all went down, I bet you can come up with some things that if you were ever to come into a situation like that again, on what you would do different. So again, not saying that the relationship that you've excluded yourself from was a bad idea. I'm just saying it's going to be important for you to really see what role you played, because once you identify that, you'll probably never play that role again. So I hope that was some information that maybe helps you kind of look at it through some different eyes. I'm out, everyone. Thanks, Corey. I appreciate you jumping in the room, man. Anytime you want to come in, you're welcome. If you want to add me back on Facebook, you can add me. I won't post anything crazy on your wall, I promise. But appreciate you coming in the room. Thank you. But yeah, you know, I've got some great videos. Del, I've got a video on here with another young lady that's also did federal prison time, and she talks about after she got out and what her life was like. A lady named Brenda Daniels. So that might be able to help you. You can go watch that video and just get some insight on what it's like for other people that have gone through your shoes. Because I haven't really dealt with a lot of women, other than, I mean, I've dealt with some, but not a lot of them want to. I've been trying to get more and more women to come on and do interviews and things like that, and just a lot don't want to. You know, they don't want they're in their own lives. They want to put this behind them. They don't want to relive any of it. And I can appreciate that and understand that and respect that. But I know there's somebody out there that wants to come out and share. So once we find that person, we will share. So maybe it'll be you and Del. You know, Del, you're probably going to, if all goes well, you got a 24-month sentence. You serve 8, 9, 10 months. You come back home with a good scenario, with some decent halfway house, and we can get you on the show and, you know, have you talk. 8 or 9 months. That is a bat of the eye. Even if you had to serve the 20 months, man, that is nothing. That is nothing. When you get in there and you see how long some of these women have been down, you're just going to go, wow, I'm lucky. I'm lucky in an unlucky situation. So I would love to have anybody that wants to come on that has some good value and some good information and some good resources and just some good stories to share about what prison was really like. You know, not like, Yeah, man, I learned how to, I learned how to make a shank. I don't really care about that. We can Google that and get that done. I don't care about that information. How you dealt with your time and what you did to improve your situation. That's what we're interested in hearing. Guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. I got to go eat dinner. I can smell it. And man, my belly's growing. I don't work out like I used to, but I sure do eat like I used to. So if you guys need anything, email me, text me, Facebook me. Here, you guys want my Facebook page? Let's add you here real quick. Facebook page is pretty cheesy. I put corny stuff on there, but here you go anyway. Those of you that want to add me on Facebook. Well, thank you, Gwen. I appreciate that. Tried adding you on Facebook, but you got declined. Really? Try to add me again, Kevin. When? Yeah, add me again. I apologize. I don't know how you got declined unless I clicked on it. I thought I added you. I definitely, I don't decline unless it was under a different name and I didn't recognize it. But yeah, guys, if you want to add me on Facebook, I recommend it. That's another way to get notifications of these videos. I send them out in text messages, but I also update the link on Facebook to whenever I'm going to do a video or, new videos that are coming out or new ideas. So definitely add me on Facebook. I expect to see you all there. Until next time, Wednesday, 7 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. Eastern, RDAP and Federal Prison Time. We will be there. Guys, make sure you like, subscribe, share, get this community growing. You guys are doing an amazing job helping with that. But the more people we get in here, the more resources and the more information and the better the topics will be. I promise you that. I love you guys. Have an amazing, what's today? Have an amazing night. If you need anything, reach out. RDAP Dan. Peace.